Hello, everyone. Welcome to Smoke the Podcast.
Episode 11.
So I guess it's been a little bit since we've released another podcast.
It has. Not because we've been trying to neglect you guys, but we've just had a lot going on in our family, particularly.
Yep. So we're coming at you with a little bit of a new recording setup, so hopefully the audio quality is good. I know that our people will let us know if they like it, or if they dislike it, or what tweaks we need to make.
Yeah.
And we sincerely appreciate all of that feedback.
Absolutely, we do.
So today we are recording indoors. We have a pretty heavy topic.
Yeah.
A lot of people have been waiting for. So we are going to forego the cigar and just stick with the whiskey today.
Yes.
So in the glass we have Eagle Rare Kentucky Straight Bourbon. Ryan's going to go ahead and pour. We have our glasses all iced up and ready to go. A little description. This is from the website, Eagle Rare website. Eagle Rare bourbon is masterfully crafted and carefully aged for no less than 10 years. Every barrel is discriminately selected to offer consistent flavor, but with a seemingly individual personality. Eagle Rare is a bourbon that lives up to its name with its lofty, distinctive taste experience. The tasting notes. The nose is complex with aromas of toffee, hints of orange peel, herbs, honey, leather, and oak. Wow. That is a pretty complex nose. The taste is bold, dry, and delicate with notes of candied almonds and very rich cocoa. The finish is dry and lingering. Well, cheers.
Complex, yes. Cheers to Eagle Rare.
I'm going to say the nose, definitely get the sweetness. Not too much toffee for me, but the herbs and honey are the, and the leather too.
Well, yeah, kind of like a honey, like just that kind of sweet honey. Yeah. Let's see. Ooh. Let's try a taste on that, though.
That is packed with flavor. Wow. I've had this before, and I don't remember it being this flavorful.
Yeah.
This is almost, for those of you who listen, I think for me it's going to be a little bit better once it waters down.
Yes.
Because that is bold.
The initial flavor of it is really good. It's really sweet, and not in like a gross sweet kind of way. Uh-huh. Like it's very flavorful.
Not like in a Southern Comfort kind of sweet way.
Yes, not. And what was the other one we had that was really Rebel Yell? I think it was.
Rebel Yell was very sweet.
Not like that at all. But I don't know any other way to describe it. I'm not like eloquent with my tasting notes.
Your palate is
not as sophisticated. My palate is not as refined as some people's, but it's definitely got a very bold flavor to it. But it's sweet. So that first flavor that you get is extremely delicious and tolerable. And when I say tolerable, it literally is not lying when they say it's a lingering aftertaste.
Yes,
the finish is just, it just stuck with me. Mm-hmm. I'm still getting a lot of flavor off that. So for those of you who don't know, Eagle Rare is made by the Buffalo Trace Distillery, which is a pretty popular bourbon around. I seen it online from about $30 all the way up to about $50 for the 750 milliliter. So I would advise people to make sure you're checking your prices before buying it, because I wouldn't spend $50 when I can buy it for $30. Yeah.
45% alcohol by volume, 90 proof, aged for 10 years, like I said. And unlike most bourbons that we've tried, this has been around since 1975.
Oh, wow. A lot of them are like 1875.
Yes. A lot of, bourbons are really, really old.
Yeah.
From 1700s, recipes that are passed on for centuries, pretty much.
Yeah.
This is kind of rare to see this one, a pretty new one.
Yeah.
Although bourbon's kind of, I think, taken off recently.
Yes.
So
it's definitely become a lot more popular. It's funny. The older I get, the more people I'm starting to realize are like becoming bourbon connoisseurs, or at least just whiskey.
Yeah, whiskey in general.
Whiskey connoisseurs in general. I know a lot of people, because I've liked whiskey from the time I turned 21. It's been something that I've really enjoyed. But yeah, there's a lot of people now that we're not traditionally whiskey drinkers that are like, oh man, I love just having a glass of whiskey. So
Yep.
it's pretty cool.
So, are you ready to get into our firearms topic today?
Yeah, let's just jump right in.
All
We got a
right,
lot to
so
cover.
our triggered firearms topic of the day is the 2019 California ammo regulations. Ladies and gentlemen, buckle your seatbelts.
Yeah.
Because we're in for the California roller coaster of gun regulations.
Yay! Last one we did it was about Freedom Week, and
Yeah.
yay, we get to bring more laws into it. I'm so excited.
So you want to explain what this topic's about?
Yeah. So basically, we've covered it a little bit, I think, here and there, throughout just the 10 episodes that we've already done. Just like just a little bit in probably in casual conversation throughout the episodes. But basically, there's this proposition that was passed in California. I believe it was in 2016. And basically it set forth a large amount of laws, and they've all taken place over the last 3 years, and they're all being implemented in stages.
Yes, I believe that was on the ballot for the presidential election.
Yes, yeah, that sounds right. And
Yeah.
basically, over the last 3 years, we've had to deal with all of those regulations one by one being set. And I know we've talked about this before for sure, is that they really didn't have a plan of execution.
Yes, no infrastructure at all.
Yeah, they just were like, this is what we're going to do, but we have no idea how we're going to do it. And so it's been one of those things where there have been, and we're going to go through it towards the end, but there have been numerous amounts of myths and legends and stories and all kinds of speculation as to what these laws would be. And it's just one of those things where I've sat back and just watched it all kind of happen in front of me, and it just seems like it's just the most common question that's being asked right now, especially because the biggest portion of it is being released in, is being not released, but like implemented on July 1st, 2019.
Okay.
So in about 1 month.
Yeah, and we've seen, I think the very beginning was when the law first passed. What was the first thing that happened was the ammo had to be behind counters.
Yes, so
You couldn't just go up and touch ammo and
yeah, and we've all had to suffer through that, and I think that was, yes, the first implementation. I can't remember if that started in 2017 or when it was, or maybe it might have even been 2000, as early as 2016. Like I said, it's all been in stages, and we've dealt with it for such a long time, or what feels like such a long time now, that it's sadly becoming part of our routine. So the current regulations on ammunition sales in California are, it has to be, any ammunition transaction has to be a face-to-face transaction with an FFL or a licensed ammunition dealer. Now, most places are just doing the FFL option because a lot of them are selling both guns and ammo. There's a few places that have the licensed ammunition dealership. That would be places like Walmart, where they don't sell any guns. They just sell the ammunition.
Okay.
And so they made that option available for these companies that were like, hey, we don't want to take on the liability of selling guns, but we can sell ammo. So it's a much easier, not easier, but it's simpler because there's the gun aspect is taken out of it, and all the hardcore drossing and paperwork and things like that is separate from it. This also really sucked because it took away all online sales of ammunition from California, and the only way you can do online sales is if you have that ammunition shipped to an FFL. The FFL will typically charge you through the nose to hold that ammunition.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because they got to make their money.
They got to make money somehow too, because if not, it really doesn't. If you're buying it cheaper than buying it from them, they want to make sure that they get a cut of that as well. There's a few FFLs throughout California that are like, you know what, no, we're all about the Second Amendment. We're only going to charge I think the minimum's like a $5 handling fee or something like that. There's a few of them that will do it, but for the most part, yeah, they're charging upwards of $30 to $40 a day to hold your ammunition.
Yeah, that's pretty rough.
Yeah, so, and then like Theodore mentioned, the ammo has to be locked up behind the counter, and you can't handle or touch any of the ammunition until after the purchase is complete. And I believe that once the purchase is complete, now I'm not sure 100% on this, but I was told this by someone who works at a local gun shop, that once the purchase is complete, they can no longer touch your ammunition. So they can
okay.
hold it and handle it and bring it to the counter when you cannot now, right? And then once it's brought to the counter, rung up, and then the point of sale has been passed, so you've paid for it, you have the receipt, they no longer can touch that ammunition because they don't own it. It's yours.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's,
It's crazy.
that's pretty nitpicky.
Yeah. And again, I don't know if that's true or not. That's
Yeah.
just something I was told by an associate at one of the local gun shops.
So just to give people an idea, what were our old regulations?
Well, if anyone was around in California before 2016 and ever went shooting and had to buy ammunition, I'm going to paraphrase the law here very, very much, and I don't know how accurate this is, but you could pretty much buy ammo whenever, wherever, however. It was just like every other state where you can walk in, grab ammo off the shelves, bring it up to the register, they ring it up, and you're good to go. And I mean, I experienced that, growing up as a kid. I mean, you just go in and buy a box of 22 or shotgun shells. You just grab them off the counter and, hey, this is what I want to get.
Yeah, that was pretty much the same that I've experienced, with the exception of certain, retail stores where they have it behind glass just because they don't want people stealing it.
Right, yes, of course.
Other than that, it's pretty easy to go into a gun store, a gun shop, or, a hunting and fishing shop, and just pick up the ammo that you want, take it to the register, and
yes.
I believe I used to get ID'd before, but I don't know if that was it everywhere, or if that was the law, or if that was just company policy.
I don't know. I want to say I know for sure the law is now you have to be 21 years old to buy ammunition. So.
And I could be mistaken. That could be a new thing.
Yeah, it could be. I don't know. I feel like I had bought ammo before without being carded, but you just never know. I know for sure if they did card me, they weren't swiping it through the system.
Yeah, it wasn't.
Because now they got to either scan it or swipe it or do something with your ID to register it and everything. I do remember being carded at, I think it was Walmart, and they had asked me just for the age and birth date and everything. So yeah. And that I don't know, but yeah, you're right. There were stores like Big Five and Walmart. Those are two, just because they typically have the cheapest prices in Southern California, which is why I'm going to mention them a couple of times probably today. But they were ones where they had a lot of the ammunition already behind glass cabinets or behind the counter.
Yeah.
Simply because you're right, there was just there's a lot of theft in those big box retail stores. And so they wanted to prevent that. What they did not have, though, at Walmart was the shotgun shells.
Yeah,
protected.
shotgun shells were always open.
You could always walk up and just buy a case of shotgun shells with no issues. And now everything has to be behind the lock.
Well, I would say like for your target loads, your skeet and like bird loads, but not even your more expensive loads they had behind glass before.
Yeah. But that was, again, it was more, that was more just
Yeah.
to prevent theft, not because it was law. But yeah, no, you're right. And then they had some of the cheaper, more common, like pistol. You could grab a box of like 500 pistol rounds off the shelf too.
Yeah.
For like 9mm or something like that. But
yeah, your common stuff.
Yeah. Nothing expensive. Or nothing in small boxes either.
So, starting July 1st, what are the new regulations going to be?
So what we're looking at is, and I'm going to use this word very loosely because we're going to talk about this when we get to the myths, but basically the simple layman's term of it is there's going to be a background check when purchasing ammunition in the state of California, starting July 1st, 2019. Now, again, we'll cover this later, but there's no permits that are going to be issued as originally thought by a lot of people, and we'll go over that. But basically, what the state is saying, and I got this information from a few different websites and from a few different articles and what I could find. There's really not a lot of information out there, and that's the frustrating part, is it's really hard to find information on any of this. But I would like to give a quick shout out to Christy McNabb at LAX Ammunition, because I was able to get and gather a lot of the information that we're going to read about from her web, or from the frequently asked questions on the LAX ammo.
Yeah,
website.
I'll say belonging to their mailing list, they send out a lot of good information and kind of give you insight on what's going on, the way they see it, and it really explaining things as clear as possible to us.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really appreciate that, because a lot of this stuff's not really easy to look through if you're not into law or
Yeah.
a lawyer or
Yeah.
if you're really not into politics or whatever.
Right.
And I know that kind of stuff's not for everybody. So to have somebody that can explain something to you clearly
Right.
is
Yeah.
very helpful, especially with stuff like this where, like we said before, basically there's no infrastructure when this law passed.
Yeah. Yeah.
So to see all the developments, a lot of times people say, okay, well, I heard this law passed, and then they get the first round of changes, and then they think that's it.
Yeah.
Because they didn't realize that there was more to come 2 years later.
Yeah.
So to be updated is very helpful.
Yeah. So we do appreciate LAX Ammo for basically publishing all this stuff on their website. We also appreciate a lot of the other California gun guys, and I'm not going to name any names, but we appreciate them, and they know who they are, and thank you for posting and always keeping us informed as well.
Yeah, and even the non-California gun people that
Yes.
that shows their support for us.
Yeah, and have been posting articles about, hey, make sure you guys get what ammo you can. Make sure that you go out and there's going to be some stuff with hunting ammo and stuff like that. So yeah, it's been really cool. So basically, anyways, back to the background check per purchase, starting in July 1st, 2019. So basically, the wording on this that we were able to find is that it is an eligibility check. That's what they're calling it. They're not necessarily calling it like a full background check, which is why I want to use that term loosely. That's what everyone in the state is calling it, a background check, and in reality it kind of is. But really what they're calling it is an eligibility check. And it will be performed at each and every purchase from here on out in the state of California. So any ammunition that is purchased, you are going to have to go through an eligibility check, no matter what. The cost for this eligibility test or check is obviously there's a cost to it. It's going to be $1 per check, and it's going to be paid for by the consumer, so you and I, and all the other gun enthusiasts and shooting sports enthusiasts in California. And that $1 cost will be paid to the California Department of Justice.
Okay.
So every single transaction, you're going to have to get one of these, and it's going to cost you $1 per transaction. I'm just going to say this right now. I am not happy about this. However, $1 is a lot less than some of the myths I was hearing.
Yes.
So I'm quite thankful that all it is $1.
Yeah, I'm not too happy about the dollar. Not that it affects me that much. Not that I'm rich or anything, but $1 is $1.
Yeah.
But where is that money going is the question. And
Yeah.
if it's going to the Department of Justice, is that going to go towards more regulations or
is it seriously just covering the cost of them to click into the system and you know what I mean? Who knows?
Yeah.
They actually do have some tables put together and again, back to being thankful for the people that know how to read a lot of this stuff. I tried reading through a lot of the laws, and there's just so much legal jargon in there that it's really hard to separate what is helpful, what's harmful, what's just law terms. It's like I'm sitting there reading because I read through the whole thing and I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm gonna go back to the Cliff Note version because it makes more sense.
Yeah, unless you deal with that on a daily basis, it's hard to.
Yeah, but they did have some tables, like when you vote for certain propositions and they say, it's going to save X amount of money over 10 years by doing this or that. They had some tables like that basically what this would implementing this would do for the Department of Justice and what it would cost us and everything. But I didn't really bother to read through it because I'm still mad that they're taking $1 at every transaction from here on out. Again, I am thankful that it's only $1, but it's still frustrating.
Yeah, I mean, it is. I can see that.
Yes. So again, this is per transaction. We did hear that it was going to be per day, per box. So what that means is that essentially, if you go into a gun or ammunition store and you buy two cases of shotgun shells, and you walk out and you go back in later that day, you're still going to have to pay an additional $1.
Yes.
So you'd be paying $2 in the same day. So it's not per day. It's also not per box, because that was also a rumor that was going around.
I heard that too.
For every box that you buy, you got to pay $1 on it. No, it's per transaction. So you can complete as many transactions as you want in a day, but a lot of the people are saying, well, then stick it to them and just, if you're one of those guys like me, if I'm driving around and I have to stop in at Walmart, or I got to drive by Big Five, I'm one of those guys where I'll pick up a box of shells today, or I'll pick up, some 22 ammo on my way home from work, or, and like little by little, like week by week, I'll go in and pick stuff up. Now it's one of those things where instead I'm just going to save up, and just go in and go, okay, I'm going to buy a couple thousand rounds of everything. For me, I get it, it's just $1, but to me it's a principle of it. Like, fine, if I got to pay $1, then I'm buying as much as I can today.
Yeah, and that, with that mindset, it got me thinking maybe online purchases, shipping to an FFL might be okay if you're going to make bulk purchases like that. Where if they're going to charge you, $10, $15 to hold your ammo for a day, it might just be better to eat that $10, $15 to save $80 on ammo or whatever.
Yes.
If you're making a big purchase.
Yes, if you're making a large purchase, there's been a lot of them where it also counts on, they also charge you the more you buy.
Okay. Yeah.
So, I mean, I've looked into it 100 different ways, and it just seems like the deals are far and few between with the FFLs that we have just in our current area.
Yeah, and like anything else, just do your research.
Right.
And find out what is the best for saving money and cost effective.
I will say that's one of those
solutions.
things that you and I both do well. I feel like we're both really into researching everything before we purchase, before we spend all the money and everything else. So anyways,
and get together with people, join groups and talk about it. I mean, we have at Smoke the Podcast on Facebook and Instagram, and let us know where you're getting your ammo or how you're getting it.
Where the best deals are happening,
and we'll be sure to share it with everybody that's in our circle.
Yeah, that's in Southern California. It's tough when you watch guys online that have these out of state presence, and they're nationwide and stuff, and they're offering all kinds of deals and things like that, and you're like, shoot, I can't buy any of that stuff. Yeah. So it would be nice to get together, like some just, hey, this is what I found it at Turner's, or I found this at Big Five, or whatever, so that'd be pretty awesome. So yes, then basically what this eligibility check is, now going back to the topic, it's what I like to call, this is my phrase, it's like an automatic DROS, or an auto DROS, or I think LAX Ammo calls it like a mini DROS, will be filed with the AFS, the California DOJ AFS. Now, the AFS is the Automated Firearm Systems, or system run by the California Department of Justice. Now, this system basically keeps a record of every, registered firearm in the state of California, and who they're registered to and everything else. So basically, this auto DROS will be filed when you go to complete the transaction. You'll bring them, you won't bring them your ammo, because you can't touch the ammo. So they'll bring the ammo to the counter. They'll ring everything up, and then as they start the transaction, they'll file this kind of auto DROS, or they'll run this auto DROS for $1. And that's the eligibility check. You're paying $1 for this auto DROS to be run. And they're saying that it'll take approximately 1 to 2 minutes for it to run through all of the records and check and make sure that it's complete. What it checks is your name, address, date of birth, and driver's license number, and then any guns that you've registered. And there's a few other things, but those are the most important pieces of information that it's going to check. And then it's basically cross-referenced throughout the rest of the automatic firearm system for any red flags. Now, a red flag would be anything prohibiting you from owning a firearm in the state of California or in the nation. So those are things like felonies, if you've ever been convicted of a felony, restraining orders, where in the state of California, any restraining order that is issued basically restricts the gun ownership of anyone who's subject to that restraining order. And then I think there's a few other, like maybe misdemeanors, things like that. But that's not our concern. The Cal DOJ knows what those issues are, and so those red flags will come up. Now, if they do come up and something is red flagged, then obviously you shouldn't be buying ammo in the state of California. If not, so then basically they just won't sell you the ammunition. If not, and you're cleared and everything comes back as clear, then you can buy, again, as much ammo as you want. You can buy in multiple calibers, and the final transaction will be then completed and then completely recorded and kept records of by the California DOJ, and they maintain records of all ammo purchases in the state.
Okay.
So that's going to be going on from here on out. Every single purchase is going to be registered. What you bought, how much of it you bought, who bought it, basically, it keeps a full record of everything. So yeah, that's the process, and then you're free to go, I guess, to walk out with your ammo.
Now they have a successful record of the amount of ammo purchased by people who don't commit crimes.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I know, there's some people that have equated it to, well, it's no different than your customer rewards card at the grocery store or your record of purchase on places like Amazon.com or eBay, where they track all of your orders and stuff like that. And yes, to an extent, sure, that's fine. I sign up for those things. But in reality, it's quite funny because those places offer coupons and discounts. I mean, there's a purpose to joining a club site like that, like Amazon or eBay or something like that. You get some kind of benefit. I wonder if the DOJ is going to start sending out ammo coupons. Like, hey, you've bought this much ammo this year. We're going to send you out a coupon to go get a free box of 22s.
Get rewards.
No, they're not going to. Really, all it is yes, you're right. A successful record of all law-abiding citizens that buy their ammo legally.
Yeah, all the people that don't want to break the law.
Yeah. Well, that's great. I wonder what they're going to use that record for. Huh? That seems like a really, really good idea. So yeah, that's it sucks, but that's the way things are going here.
Okay, so then how do I know if I'm in the California DOJ automated firearms system?
That is a great question, Theodore, and I have an answer for it. So here's a really, 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 really simple way to know. I don't know the timeline on it, but I can tell you this much. If you have purchased and registered a firearm in California since they've had the automated firearm system, which has been around for a while, I just don't know if it was early 2000s or 1990s. I don't know how long it's been around. We can look that up if people have questions on that. But if you've purchased and registered a firearm in California using the AFS system, then you're already in the system. Because anytime you buy a gun in California, you have to go through the whole background check and the 10-day waiting period. All those guns are logged into the automated firearm system. And so then, yes, you're all good to go. Now, the one thing that I will say is you need to make sure that your contact info was the same from that gun that you purchased to the ammo that you're purchasing now.
Okay.
Because you want to make sure that, you're at the same address and everything else. You may not be in the firearm system, or it may come back as saying, you're at a different address or something like that. Again, this is all stuff where we don't necessarily know how it's going to play out until it actually plays out.
Yeah.
Because we're not sure how that infrastructure, and I don't even know that the DOJ is 100% sure on how that infrastructure is wired. So that's one way to know, and that's a really simple way. So if you bought and purchased a firearm in California and it's registered, make sure your contact info is the same, you'll be in the AFS, no problem. The other way is you can register any firearm that is not registered. Now, for example, that would be maybe a gun passed down from a father to a son, because you don't technically have to register a gun that is passed down between grandfather and son or father and son, anything like that. And then you don't have to register a gun that is transferred between a husband and wife.
Yeah.
So that would be an option as well. You could go in and register a gun with the state of California. Yeah.
I don't know why you would want to do that.
I don't know why anyone would ever want to do that. But
that is a way to do it.
It is an option, and that's the only reason why I'm mentioning it. And then last but not least, this one seems like the easiest option if you're not a gun owner and you want to purchase ammo. So this really doesn't bother people that are already gun owners in the state of California, because they're probably already in the AFS. What it really does bother, though, or what the people that it hurts, are the people that want to get into shooting and want to just go to the range and take a box of ammo, or want to buy ammo and they're going out with all their buddies and all their buddies have guns and they're like, yeah, I want to try a couple out before I buy, they're not going to be able to buy ammo, which really sucks. So it hinders a lot of people from getting into shooting sports, and that sucks. So the last way, and again, this might be just the easiest way to do it if you haven't bought a gun already, is you can file for an eligibility check, which is what we've been talking about with the California DOJ. Here's the catch. It's not $1 because you have to give them all of your information on like a sheet. Basically, there's like some sheet, and I believe you even have to go and have it notarized. Oh, wow. So you have to send this in, and it's a one-time fee of $19 that you send to the DOJ. I believe you send that in with like a check or a cashier's check possibly, and you enter all your info in on this sheet basically, and then to my understanding, or at least to the one that I pulled up online, and it might not be the same one for ammo, it might just be a standard like firearm eligibility check, but yeah, you had to go have it notarized, and I checked with the local notary. They charge $15. So it'd be $15 to have it notarized, and then $19 check. And then if you do like certified mail to make sure that it gets there, then obviously that adds a charge. But if not, the minimum would be, I think, 49 cents for a stamp.
So what you're telling me is just buy a gun.
Yeah, yeah. By the time you get $60 into all these background checks and everything, you might as well just buy a gun.
And we do have a podcast. If you search our earlier podcasts on good first guns, good starter guns. So go ahead and give that a listen. I guess I know it's a joke and stuff, but my thing is when you're starting something out, you want the least amount of roadblocks. Right. And this is pretty much just a roadblock for people that that aren't into guns or that are on the fence or that I've always wanted to go shooting. We see the same thing with hunters, even though I agree with hunter safety. I do too, because it's very important for a healthy hunting population. You see a lot of people that want to hunt, but they don't want to have to go through the whole hunter safety test, and that's usually the big roadblock. This isn't as bad of a roadblock because it's not time, it's money. But I could see a lot of people that are on the fence about shooting not wanting to go through all that, to have to get something notarized and, fill out a form. A lot of people are just like, you know what, hey, let's go shooting this weekend. No, well, I can't buy ammo or whatever, so, just forget it.
So there is one exception to the rule, and I was going to save it for when I talk about some of the exceptions and things like that. Okay. But I'll kind of address it now. It sounds like, according to the law, that you can purchase, the only place where you would be able to purchase ammo is at a firing range that is dedicated to renting out like handguns and long guns or any kind of gun for that matter that you can, but all that ammunition has to be shot there on site.
Oh, can't leave the premises.
Yes, because their thought process is the guy who owns the shooting range either has his FFL or has an ammo license or something like that. And so he's the one taking the hit, so to speak, on the background check.
Essentially, it's his ammo.
Yes. You're just shooting it. And you're just paying him to shoot it. Yes. So I think that's how they view it. So places like some of those indoor shooting ranges where we've talked about where you can go in and rent handguns, you should still be able to do that. Okay. And still be able to get a box of ammo. The problem is when do you typically go and do that? You do it with somebody that you know who shoots. Yeah. And oftentimes, like, you're not, I don't know how to say it, but, like, you're not going to go out. I don't know that many people that go out and just go, oh, I'm going to rent that gun because I've never been shooting before, and then I'm going to, go do this. Usually it's like you get, like, a group on with a bunch of buddies and go out and do it. And you have at least, hopefully, one buddy that knows a little bit about shooting or something like that. But I know on the range episode I talked about being next to some guys that had none of them had fired a gun, but they were tourists and wanted to fire a gun in California. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, and those are the only instances where that would where you'd be getting people like that in. But you're right.
They want to do something very American.
Oh, absolutely, the most American ever. But yeah, so that is one exception to the rule. But I feel like not that many people even know that is an option. A lot of the times it's your buddy going, hey, let's go out to the desert, bring, whatever box of ammo.
So before I move on to my next question, Let's circle back to this Eagle Rare. What do you think?
It is getting way smooth as the ice melts, and
Yes.
I'm really enjoying it.
It's really mellowed out. It's mellowed out to the point where I finished my glass pretty much. I'm about to take my last drink.
Yeah.
We're empty.
Cheers.
And I'm going to pour myself another finger or two.
You might need some more ice in there.
No, I think we're good. But yes, I'm really enjoying this. I really like it. Once it mellowed out, it's turned into one that I really like.
Yeah, it's really delicious.
I can drink this as probably like my go-to. I like it that much.
Yeah. Oh, really? As much as 46, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I've had this before, and I don't remember it being as good.
You know why? Because your palate wasn't as refined
My
back
palate
then.
isn't as refined, I guess. I was a rookie.
You were, just a rookie bourbon drinker. You probably didn't even know it was bourbon. You're like, dang, what is this stuff?
Ooh, but now with the fresh
pour, it's strong again.
It's a little strong.
Yeah. That I will say that's the one nice thing about Maker's 46 is with the fresh pour. Yes, it's strong, but not as strong as this.
Yeah, but I'm really enjoying this.
So.
Good job. Good job, Eagle Rare and the Buffalo Trace Distillery on that one.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me ask you another question.
Okay.
This is going to pertain to a couple of people that have been waiting for this podcast for a while.
Yeah.
Can non-Californians buy ammo in California?
Well, I don't. Number one, before I even answer the question, I don't know why you'd even want to buy ammo in California if you don't live here.
I don't get it either.
Yeah. Or why you would care about California ammo regulations.
And just really quick, a heads up, we are recording indoors, and we do have some dogs in here that are roaming around, and so that you might hear that in the background. But yeah, I don't understand that either. Why would a non-Californian want to buy ammo in California, considering that I've been to other states and it's significantly cheaper, significantly more available.
It's an easier process.
It's an easier process. Yeah. So yeah, but just to get the technicalities out of the way, can they?
No.
No?
No.
Simple answer, no.
Simple answer is no, they can't. So there you go. You have to have a valid California ID and address in the state of California. So in order to do that, and I'm not sure the state law on this, I have a couple friends of mine, and I have a couple friends of mine, and they're I forget how it all works, but basically they have parents or in-laws that own houses out of state, right? So they have vacation homes out of state, and I think because of the way that taxes are, retirement, I don't know how it all works, but I'm not at that age yet, and I'll figure it out when I get there. But I think it's like there's less taxes or something like that if they live out of state, and so they declare that they live out of state 6 months and 1 day. And so they have their out-of-state license. So I think if you were to do that in California, you'd probably have to do the same and have a valid California ID, live here 6 months and 1 day.
Okay.
So then you couldn't have an ID anywhere else or whatever. So it kind of negates the whole point of having the opportunity to buy guns in Arizona or Nevada or Idaho or any of these other
free states.
Free states, basically. Yeah. So yeah, that kind of sucks. So so you do have to have a valid CA ID and an address in California. And then also Californians are not allowed to purchase out of state anyways. So it's kind of, it's one of those things where it's just all ammo sales go to Californians only. All ammo sales in California can only go to Californians.
Yeah.
And Californians can't buy outside of the state. So it's really simple. Now, here's the thing though. If you do purchase, and we've already touched on this, but if you do decide you want to purchase ammo out of the state, then yes, you can, but it has to go through the FFL first. So really what it is more the FFL purchases, kind of holds the ammo.
Okay.
I don't know if it's like a deed or title or what, but basically he takes possession of that ammo. It's his ammo, and then you go and get it from him. It's kind of the whole thing's really confusing and messed up.
And we jokingly said, why would non-Californians want to buy ammo in California? The problem is, what if you want to go shooting? If you have family members in California and you just want to go shooting and you want to buy ammo, that's where it'll be a big problem.
Well, and the worst part too is you can't even bring in your own ammo from out of state. If you bought a ton of ammo and were I'm going to see all my family, in California and we're going to go shooting, you can't even bring that ammo into the state, even if you're from out of state. Like,
and a huge problem is, what if you wanted to go hunting? Just simple bird hunting or, something that you could do.
Yeah, they say then at that point you either buy your ammo there, right? Because if any ammo you take out of the state has to stay out of the state.
Yes.
You can't bring it back in. So you either buy ammo out of the state and leave it with your family and hope that, or with somebody,
Yeah, and that's kind of messed up. And I've heard, people that are competitive shooters that, if they go to a shooting competition, they don't use all their ammo. They can't bring it back technically.
Yeah, so they have to go out and either just shoot it all up or leave it again with somebody who can either use it. There's a lot of people that say that you can just go into some of the gun stores in certain states. I've heard, like in Arizona, you can go in and they'll buy back ammo, but I don't know the legality of that in Arizona. I don't know if, because here I believe all ammunition sales are final.
Yeah, and are they gonna buy them back at what?
A fraction of the cost, or who knows? Yeah. So you're probably better off just standing out in the middle of the desert, blowing as many rounds out as you can, just boom, 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 But yeah, so that's kind of annoying. And then what also is annoying is for people who have their concealed carry permits out of state.
Yes.
So I carry out of state, right?
Yes, I also have a CCW out of state.
Yeah, and it sucks because, okay, do I take 4 magazines with me just in case something happens and I have to get my wife or my friends or whoever I'm over there with back, and or do I just take 1 magazine or 2? Because either way, I'm gonna have to dump all that ammo at the state line.
Yeah, technically you are gonna have to dump all that ammo.
You know what I'm saying?
Technically.
For the person who doesn't like to have to throw away ammunition, it really sucks.
It really does suck. And those are some of the logistics that I think your average voter and politician don't think through. They see this and then they just go, okay, well, what, when that question is asked, well, can I take my ammo out of state and bring it back? The answer is no.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, what about this? Well, it's just no.
Yeah. Well, and see, in my opinion, and we're going way off topic here, but it's okay. Yeah. But in my opinion, hunting, that sucks as well. But really for CCW holders is where it sucks the most. Because if you're crossing state lines all the time, you're constantly having to either toss your ammo or give your ammo to somebody that lives over there or whatever. Mm-hmm. And my thought process is if my ammo is loaded into magazines and I'm not carrying more than 10 magazines or 5 magazines even, I'm being generous with 10. I don't know that I would ever carry that many magazines for CCW over a state line. I mean, but if let's just say I had 5 total magazines, one in my gun and then 4 that I had in my bag in the hotel room or something like that. And they were in the magazine. That's 50 rounds for California because we only have 10 round magazines. I feel like that should be an exemption. Yeah. Hey, you know what? They're in the magazine. There's no box. It's not like there's a receipt there and it is the burden of proof for the state to determine whether or not you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And that's, So anyways, let's get back to the main topic.
So, okay. Well, are there any exceptions or exemptions for these ammo regulations to anybody?
There are, but they're far and few between, and it sucks. So FFLs, obviously.
Yep.
Ammo dealers that are licensed, which we've already talked about. Gunsmiths was one of them that's mentioned, and so I don't know if there's a gunsmith's license or if I could just say, hey, I'm a gunsmith. I don't know. I need to look into that. That would be something interesting to look into. I would assume they must hold some kind of a trade license or something like that.
Yeah. I'm assuming, yeah.
And maybe it's one of the classes of FFL too. That could be as well, because I know there's multiple classes of FFL. Shooting ranges, and that was why I wanted to wait, but we already touched on that. If you're buying and I think that one, I think even the person, as long as they have the deed to the property, can buy it. I don't know that they necessarily need to be a licensed firearm dealer.
Oh, okay.
Because I think if you have a shooting range, like it already has to be up to a certain amount of government standards.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not sure on that. I'd have to look into it, but I don't ever intend
Yeah,
on.
it's like a liquor license. It
Yeah.
belongs to the building, not to the actual
Right,
owner.
right. And
Yeah.
so as long as you can prove that you're like the business owner that owns that property or whatever, I think you can buy. And then law enforcement officers, obviously, they
Yes.
can go in, just flash their badge, and as long as their ID and badge and everything match up, they can buy whatever ammo they want, free of any registration. Not sure on that one why that would be helpful, because a lot of those guys get their ammo from the department.
Yeah.
I guess it would be helpful if they were going to go hunting and like, yeah, I don't feel like shooting buckshot at Dove. And then they don't have to pay the $1 for that. The other thing that I read though too is that like people who work for agencies like law enforcement, who maybe are just civilians, but they work in like purchasing, so they're the ones in charge of purchasing all the ammo, they can go in and do it as well.
Yeah, I've also seen talk. I don't know how true this is or whatever. We can look it up. But if you're a big ammo purchaser, it might be worth it to get one of your ammo FFL.
The class 3.
Yeah, class 3. That's exactly what I was thinking. I just wasn't sure.
Okay.
To get that, then you can have ammo delivered to you.
So then you can order online.
Yeah, so then you can order online, but it is not that easy to obtain. But that is one route you can go if you wanted to work. If you want to work around for online ordering.
I think you could technically get an ammo dealer's license as well. And I heard that one's, like we talked about, that one's a little easier because you're not having to do the whole FFL thing. There's some issues with the FFL as far as owning like curio and relic rifles as well. And I don't know, there's like some very specific things where if you own certain guns, they just automatically will deny you your FFL.
And what it comes down to is we're not lawyers, so you have to do the research. We're just trying to present the information as we understand it.
I know we disclose this like every episode, but I feel it's necessary to disclose it. Yeah, this is just our interpretation. We're just two guys that like shooting and hunting and fishing and drinking bourbon and smoking cigars, and so this is just our take on everything.
Yeah. So like I said, you got to do your own research and find out what the best solution is for you.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to.
So
go ahead.
The other exception that everyone thought would be an exception that is not an exception. So I don't know why I started it with the other exception, but because we're on the topic of exemptions and exceptions, CCW holders are not exempt. They were going to put in a clause for them that they would be exempt from it because they've already taken an 8-hour class. They have a license to carry, all of these really, really great reasons. But then they thought, I want to say, I heard somewhere that, well, if CCW gets it, then hunter safety should get it because they've been through like long gun, and then they should be able to buy long gun ammo. And then it was just too much of like pistol ammo, long gun ammo, what would be regulated, what isn't. So obviously California did the easy thing and just said, no one can have anything.
Yeah.
You guys all suck.
I think that hunters should be able to. Well, I think that everybody, I think all this is, shouldn't be anyway, but, if that was their logic, if they went from CCW carriers to hunters, yes, hunters like me have taken a course, and I would like to hunt out of state, and if I have ammo, bring it back.
And that's not really
kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, and so that wouldn't really be even still, if they did and I hate that I'm even saying this because I hate that I'm saying this, but I would be okay with dealing with the $1 background check if I could just bring my ammo across state lines. That's it. Just for CCW and hunting. I'm not even talking about going over and buying stuff. Yeah. Just for CCW and hunting. Just so I don't have to throw away ammo every time I come back across state lines.
Yep, that's what they want you to do, man. They're breaking you down.
Slowly but surely, man. No, I'm going to move out of state before that ever happens.
Talking about hunting, are there any regulations on hunting ammo?
Yes. That's the simple answer is yes. The biggest regulation this year, and again, starts the same day, July 1st, 2019, which coincidentally is the first day of hunting season for the new season.
Oh, yeah.
So basically, the new law is non-lead ammo is the only type of ammo allowed in the state of California for hunting.
Okay.
So that means you cannot use any type of lead. And a lot of guys were going, well, FMJ is probably okay. Full Metal Jacket, for those of you that don't know what FMJ is, where there's a lead core, but the bullet is jacketed in like any whatever type of metal. They use a bunch of different types, but there's absolutely no lead can be used in the projectile. So we're talking, the most common is steel, copper, bismuth, tungsten. There's a few others out there, and they're experimenting with more and more metals as we go, which is pretty cool. But yeah, so the reason for this is, and a lot of people are up in arms because of the ammo regulations as far as purchases go.
So just to be clear, though, is this related to Proposition 63? I don't think so. Right?
I don't think it is. You know what? I didn't even bother to look at it. I just know it's happening.
I believe this is completely different.
I think it is.
I remember talking about this before.
Because I think this is more of a health and safety. This is like a fish and wildlife thing because they implemented it in stages as well.
Yes.
So this is more of a fish and wildlife thing rather than a state like mandated thing. Although I don't know, I know the state had a lot to do with it too. So well, I don't know.
Regardless,
who knows?
We can look it up.
Who cares?
Can look it up.
Anyways, at the end of the day, the reasoning for this, it's not upsetting to me as the other ones are. But the reason that everyone is up in arms about it is because of all the other regulations that are going on. So now people just automatically assume, well, this is California trying to take our rights away again.
Yes.
The reason for this is because shooting lead, especially for waterfowl hunting, but for most other hunting, is super dangerous for the ecosystems and the environments. Because think about it, if you're shooting multiple shells of lead up in the air, right, and it's all coming back down into a pond or into a stream or a lake or river, whatever, all that lead is now leaching into the water. And then the fish that are in that water, for all of our anglers out there, you're now pulling in fish with like high lead amounts and things like that. They're really worried. They were really worried as well with predators. Like, let's say you shoot, a deer or any animal for that matter, and you skin it and leave some of the, the carcass behind as you're packing and field dressing and cleaning, and anything feeds off of that. Now they're exposed to the lead that was basically punched through all that meat or whatever it might be. I'm a proponent of try and take out whatever you can and pack out what you can and leave no trace. But there's a lot of people that will legitimately just cut around the bullet wound and just leave like that meat behind. And that is like the worst part of the meat.
For the predators.
Yeah, for the predators to leave behind because it's all, it's got lead all over it. And so the reason for this is literally because they just want to get lead out of California in hunting areas and in these wildlife areas because it's kind of contaminated.
And this is one example of the way I try to look at things, and you got to look at every regulation for what it is.
Yeah.
And to automatically be mad at this just because it is a regulation and because it is California, you might be missing the point a little bit. If you're an ethical hunter, you care about animals. I care about animals. And a lot of people find a little bit of a disconnect with, well, you care about animals and why do you want to kill them? That's for a different podcast, different topic. But I do care about the health of the population, the ecosystems, and things like that. And I would like future generations to be able to hunt and fish, and all of that has to do with this law being put into place. It's not just trying to make it harder for hunters.
Right.
It's trying to make a more sustainable hunting population. Right. Hunting to keep it going pretty much.
Yeah.
Because the Department of Fish and Game had a lot to do with this law, and I believe other states have implemented this already. Yeah.
There's actually a ton of other states that have this. There's even I believe some federal laws concerning hunting certain types of waterfowl, and you have to use non-lead ammo and things like that. So it's definitely not something that is California specific. And there's a lot of people that actually prefer hunting deer with copper and things like that. It's been really cool to watch on social media as people have been posting about this. A lot of the back and forth between people that just won't even give it the time of day and are hating it, again, like you said, because it's a regulation and it's in California, so they're just hating on it the whole time. But it's really cool to see some of the hunters that already have adapted to it. And I'm just going to say right now, I've already adapted to it. I adapted to it the moment we started dove hunting. My dad and I started dove hunting with steel shot because I knew it was coming in 2-3 years. You know, I'm like, okay, I know it's going to be here. I'd rather get used to shooting steel because it moves a little quicker and the patterns are a little weird or different, obviously, than lead. And so that's the other thing that they're urging a lot of hunters out there is make sure that you go out and practice on the range and understand how these different types of metal projectiles shoot, because you don't want to be taking animals with, you know, a new form of ballistics and you're like, okay, I just wounded this thing and now I got to go track it for 6 miles. You know?
Yeah, and if you've been hunting with lead for a lot of years, I would suggest just going out to the range and trying to dial in your aim with these new bullets.
Well, because steel moves quicker, this is kind of crazy. I you know, when shooting clays, if I shoot lead, I realize I have to lead quite a bit more than with steel. So with steel shot, like when shooting dove or quail or whatever, I can actually stay back a little bit.
Okay.
And I don't have to lead them as much, which is kind of it's a good little tip. And it might not be the same for everyone. Every gun shoots differently, whether your spread goes left or right or high or what, you know what I mean? But and that's why I say go ahead and make sure you know what you're shooting before you go out and just go hunt. You know?
Yeah.
So
practice. I mean, you should be dialing in your hunting rigs every season anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. Now let me ask you this. So I know you've kind of adopted the non-lead as well, like we did from early on. Have you had any issues with getting non-lead ammunition?
You know, not really. I found it pretty easy, but it's mostly bird hunting.
Yeah.
And you know, it hasn't been tough for me at all.
Okay.
I've been able to find it pretty much at the places that I go.
Yeah.
So, but I could imagine it being a problem for like maybe uncommon calibers. You know, that might be a problem.
Oh, like for like deer hunters or
like
for have some of those older
for
calibers.
Actual bullets.
Yeah, true.
And not, you know,
or
shotgun
like,
shells.
Like maybe even like a 16 gauge or something that's a little less common.
Oh yeah.
Which it's kind of funny though, because like hunters typically use those weird calibers. Like I know a lot of hunters that use like weird calibers.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, that's weird. Like, you know, to me, I'm just like, yeah, give me a 12 gauge, give me a, you know, whatever's the most common. I think the weirdest caliber I own is a 270, and that's the most common like deer caliber in California. So it's like, I don't know. I think that's but you're right.
Yeah, but you know what it comes down to is if you're way into hunting, and you know you have experience with a bunch of different calibers. I think for us, maybe we don't do a lot of big game hunting.
Right.
So we don't have a lot of experience. We haven't seen the pros and cons of certain calibers and found our perfect caliber.
Right.
So it's just a lot easier for us to go with the norm.
Yeah, whatever's as standard and standard issue as possible, basically.
But as I do a little more upland bird hunting, I can understand why 16 gauge is like an upland round.
Yeah.
An upland shotgun.
Yeah, because right in that sweet spot between the 12 and the 20.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's lightweight still.
Yeah.
You know, you don't want to carry. It's hard hiking up mountains trying to find chucker with 12 gauge.
With a heavy walnut stock and forearm. And I will say this, the one thing that is frustrating to me, and so I typically carry my 1911 with me when I hunt because we're in areas in California where bobcats and mountain lions, coyotes are very prevalent.
Black bears.
Black bears as well. And where you're more likely to run into those types of predators. And it's just one of those things where I like to carry my 1911 with me for protection. The problem is now I probably will not be able to carry the 1911 because the 45, the 9mm, the 40, a lot of your, like, I guess you would call them like home defense rounds or things like that, or home defense calibers, they do not make non-lead ammo.
Okay.
So I'm probably going to have to start carrying my 44 Magnum because I know I can get non-lead ammo with that.
Wow, make you look a lot more manly.
Oh, okay. I mean, yeah, it's a cool gun.
You know,
but you know what I'm saying? That's the part where it's kind of annoying because I feel much more confident carrying my 1911.
Yeah, and it's not it's not as comfortable if you're hiking.
No,
Yeah.
that huge revolver is
Yeah.
not nearly as comfortable. And and again, we're going off topic, but the 1911, it's just so much easier for me to carry. And the systems, the holster that I have for it, the system that I have set up with all my gear fits the 1911. And I don't like having the slowness of the 44 Magnum.
Yep.
So,
I get it 100%.
and so that's where these laws kind of are upsetting. I feel like in a self-defense situation, lead should be legal.
Well, what if you wanted to load your own bullets, reload your own bullets?
Okay.
Are there any regulations about reloading?
No. That's the short answer. No, there are no regulations. Prop 63, as of now, does not mention any reloading equipment. There's no like amendments to the law or addendums or whatever you want to call them. Legal jargon, whatever. There's nothing to the law that mentions reloading equipment, so you can reload as much as you want. You don't have to go through background checks to buy reloading equipment. It's kind of that idea where you can buy AR parts without needing a background check. You know what I mean? Okay. So you can go in and just buy what you need, and which is pretty cool. The other reason why that might be a really good option is because on those uncommon calibers that you were talking about, you probably would be able to find the non-lead bullets and projectiles and stuff that you would be able to like load yourself, and you might be able to do it cheaper. Because a lot of people, that's the other reason, a lot of people were complaining like it's really hard to find them, or you can find them, but they're out of state oftentimes, and then to pay for them to come in via FFL. This is like a really quick and easy way where you can buy in bulk, the projectiles in bulk, and then you can always buy your casings and whatever else you need as well. So that's
All right, let's kind of finish up here. Let's talk about the myths going around about these regulations. I've heard quite a bit. I know you've heard quite a bit. Once something like this happens, especially when there's no infrastructure right away, the rumor mill starts going, and people's imaginations just start running wild, and people just start coming up with a lot of things. So what are some of the myths that you've heard? I'll tell you a couple of them. For mine, I've heard that there's going to be limited purchase amount and limited ammo amount when you make purchases, and that is a big no, correct?
So can you explain the difference between the purchase amount and the ammo amount? I know what you're talking about, but just for our listeners.
Well, purchase amount would be the amount of purchases you can make
in a certain time.
In a certain time frame.
Okay.
Almost like our handgun.
Right. Every 30 days.
Yeah, every 30 days you can purchase one. And the limited amount of ammo would be like the amount of ammo you can buy in one purchase.
Right. So you could only buy like 500 rounds or something like that. Yes, I've heard a lot of that going around.
According to what we understand, there is no regulation on that.
Yeah, no regulation on the amount of transactions in any given amount of time, day, month, year, whatever. Yeah. And no ammo amount. One of the really common ones that I get a lot is, or that I heard a lot initially, and this was, I think, due to a lot of speculation, because I had people at gun stores legitimately giving me this information. That, you're going to need a permit, you're going to have to take a class or a test, it's going to be like the handgun or the firearm safety permit, where it'll be good for 5 years, and you'll pay $50 up front, and it's going to be a 5-year permit, and then after that, then you can't buy ammo, and all kinds of stuff, and that was all speculation. So I've heard a lot of that, and none of that is true.
That was originally what I had heard. That you have to have a permit, and then it would expire after a certain amount of time, and then you had to retake a test or reapply for the permit.
Well, and they were talking about combining the ammunition permit with the firearm safety permit, and then making everyone who just went from buying getting the handgun permit and then re-getting the firearm permit to then going, okay, now we got to get a third permit. It's ridiculous, Yeah. And so that was one of the things that they were talking about.
Well, I'm glad California was a little more logical on that.
Yeah. Let's see. The other thing that I've heard is, you could only buy calibers and gauges for the guns that you own.
Okay.
And they had to be registered too. That was one of the other things that if you had some unregistered weapons, then you wouldn't even be able to buy the ammo for them. So far, that's not the case. And the reason for that, obviously, is because you may have some that were registered to your father or grandfather and passed down to you, or to your spouse that you want to be able to go out and buy ammo for. Or if you want to just go out and buy ammo to go shoot with your buddies who has a weird caliber and says, yeah, bring your own ammo,
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of those weird calibers can be a little pricey, so,
yeah.
It's...
I don't want to be crowdfunding the entire shooting day, right?
Yeah, just because I have the odd caliber doesn't mean I have to supply the ammo for everybody.
Exactly, yeah. Were there any other ones that you had heard or anything?
That the reloading equipment would be regulated.
Yeah, which obviously it's not.
We had addressed that already.
And then the other one that I heard that's been super annoying, and I keep hearing it, like, despite...
Yeah, I literally just heard this at a store the other day.
Yeah, is the non-lead ammo for all of California. Like, not just hunting.
Yeah.
No, it's only for hunting.
Strictly for hunting.
It's like, oh, what am I gonna, there's no way I'm spending twice as much on my AR ammo to go out and shoot at the range. And it's like, bro, just read the article. Just read the first 3 sentences of the article. And, oh, man, that one was bothersome. So.
But, these are myths right now. And we're trying to prevent them from being regulations. So at the current moment, this is our understanding that these are not the current regulations.
Yeah.
But you never know. I mean, I'm sure people back in the days didn't think that we'd be as regulated as we are now.
Yeah.
And a lot of the myths that were going around then are probably realities now.
Yeah.
So. Just keep that in mind. As of right now, these are myths.
Yeah. So.
And hopefully we won't have to deal with that.
Yeah.
With any of those in real life, but
yeah,
you never know.
You really don't.
Anyway, do you want to circle back on the whiskey and let everybody know what you think? I mean,
I thought it was good. I only had the one glass.
For those of you that pay attention, I very rarely finish the full glass during a podcast, and I did 2 today.
Yeah.
So yeah, Eagle Rare, man, I like it.
Yeah, it is good. I really liked it as it mellowed out. Not one of my go-tos if I was going to drink it neat. But yeah, all in all, it was really good, really flavorful. And like I said, that flavor was just made all the more better as the ice melted.
Yeah,
for me.
If you like the bold flavors,
it might be.
Yeah, you might like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely not one for me neat either.
Yeah.
But not too bad on the rocks.
Yeah.
Once it mellowed out, it was, like I said, that was definitely in my lane, up my alley, or whatever you want to call it.
Do they have like a nicer version of Eagle Rare?
Yes, it's actually called Double Eagle Very Rare.
Wow, that's original.
Which is a very creative name, I guess.
Well, I guess we'll have to try a bottle of that sometime.
We'll if one of our listeners wants to send us a bottle, we'll definitely review it.
You know who you are.
So you can catch us on Facebook at Smoke the Podcast, Instagram at Smoke the Podcast. Let's try to get that going. We'd like to get that a little more active.
Yeah, get some more people interacting and talking with us.
It's on us too. I mean, we gotta post more and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, we appreciate your feedback. Let us know what you think about the sound quality, if it's changed, if it's different, if it's worse, if it's better.
Yeah.
What we can do to improve it. All that feedback is much appreciated. So for me, this is Smoke the Podcast signing off.
You guys take it easy.